call and ask like questions.
What is this one? What does it mean?
It's actually the two go together. The Unitarian Universalist religious community, they're accusing me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel. Because I've blogged about the Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists. So they're essentially threatening to have me charged with blasphemous libel against the Unitarian religion for actually telling the truth about pedophiles and rapists. They're saying my claims are false, but in fact my claims are based on newspaper reports about specific people who've actually been convicted. So I'm protesting it's the 21st century. Nobody should be using blasphemy law in Canada, and especially Unitarians. So.
Hi.
Hi. So we just had a brief conversation. So, once again, someone engaging in what Unitarian Universalists would call a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of my picket signs. Unfortunately, very few Unitarian Universalists bother to engage in a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of these picket signs and related blog posts and so on. No, the vast majority of Unitarian Universalists who are confronted by my picket signs and by my other protests and blog posts basically, knowingly and willfully bury their heads in the proverbial sand, if I want to be polite about it. They're guilty of obstinate willful ignorance, deep psychological denial. They do absolutely nothing to respond in even remotely responsible manner to these issues. Just a very small handful, a very small percentage of Unitarian Universalists will engage and seek to know more about what the issues are. But even them, a lot of them, basically don't take it any further than that. They don't demand an explanation from the UUA. They don't demand that the UUA withdraws the false accusations and so on. So we'll continue our little protest here on Parliament Hill. getting a reasonable number of people asking questions, a fair number of people taking photographs and some video, and hopefully the media will show up. I did tell them where I would be. Hi. Hello.
What is the blasphemy?
Canada has a blasphemy law. It's in the Canadian Criminal Code. It essentially prohibits, blasphemous libel against a religion.
So if I say something that would be considered blasphemy toward a religion, that's
right.
A criminal offense?
It could be, yes.
Could be.
If it was considered to fit blasphemous libel, it has to be very, very deeply insulting and attacking the deepest religious beliefs of the religion in question.
Okay.
Now, in my case, what's bizarre is that the Unitarian Universalists, you're an American, I believe?
Yes.
Yes. So have you heard of the Unitarian Universalists?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the main office in Boston, which is, let's say their equivalent of the Vatican, shall we say, they're their main religious center in America.
Right.
They hired Stikeman Elliott, barristers and solicitors litigation lawyer in Montreal, to have me served with a cease and desist demand letter.
Having you
Yes,
personally.
I was accused in a cease and desist demand letter of blasphemous libel against the Unitarian Universalist religion for, and this is an exact quote from the letter, your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Then it went on to say that these were alleged, unfounded blog posts were defamatory, and so defamatory that they amounted to blasphemous libel. I have
Done within Canada.
Well, I'm Canadian. I'm in Montreal. I was served, by a Canadian, and it's Canadian. It's a federal Canadian law. I don't know if the United States even has a federal blasphemy law. I think certain states have blasphemy laws.
Probably do.
But what's totally outrageous about this is that Unitarians have a long tradition of opposing blasphemy law because they've been accused of blasphemy because they deny the Trinity and so on. So for over the centuries, some have been burned at the stake, jailed, and so on for alleged blasphemy against Christianity. And so for centuries they've been lobbying against the use of blasphemy laws.
I see.
And here they are turning around and accusing me of blasphemy on a false basis in order to hide, some of the worst clergy sexual misconduct. So I think that's worth protesting. Well, and the other irony, which you may not know about Unitarians, is that a lot of them are atheists. They don't even believe in God. They're not even, they're in quotation marks religious, but from an atheist perspective, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And what's most ironic about this is that the people most responsible for this misuse of blasphemy law are atheist Unitarians. So anyway, I think it's an honor and a privilege to be accused of blasphemy in the 21st century. But
is there some legislation pending that you're opposing right now?
No, right now I'm opposing the misuse, the attempted misuse by the Unitarian Universal Association. The Canadian Unitarians are having their big annual meeting in Ottawa this weekend.
Oh, I see.
And I was protesting there yesterday, but they had me expelled from the property. It was on a college campus, and so they said private property, you can't come on the property. If you come on, it'll be trespassing. So I said, well, you know what, if you want me protesting there, I'll come here and protest.
Well, this is a good place to do it.
I think so, yeah.
So you're saying Unitarian,
it's a misuse. They're misusing our blasphemy law to cover up and hide pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. They want my blog post to disappear, which so far not so much as a comma has disappeared.
You have a blog post then, don't you?
Yes, I have blog posts that tell the truth about Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct.
Well, that's very interesting.
What is your profession?
I'm a photographer. But right now the photography business isn't so great, so I consider myself semi-retired.
Good for you.
But
well, good luck to you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, yo.
I'm just talking to this fella.
Thanks for your interest. You're doing what Unitarians call a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Unfortunately, very few of them actually do this.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what
it's their fourth principle. No, exactly. That's the whole point. The fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism calls upon Unitarian Universalists to engage in what they call a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Well, you're doing that. Meanwhile, if they see my picket signs, they look the other way, they bury their heads in the ground.
Well, it's important to you, and so it should
be important. I think it should be important to anyone who cares about truth. And anyone who cares about religions that try to hide clergy abuse.
Good luck.
It's ridiculous. Imagine if the Roman Catholic Church accused someone of blasphemy for talking about Roman. So it's really no different. So.
Well, it's good to see you.
Well, good to talk to you. Thanks for your interest. I appreciate it. So, American tourist asked me what my protest is about, and I explained it to him, and oh yes, we got it all recorded. 10 minutes worth of recording. So yes, an American tourist engages in a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of my picket signs, which say Unitarian Universalists misuse Canada's blasphemy law to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. An entirely truthful statement based on the fact that the Unitarian Universal Association did in fact hire Stikeman Elliott, barristers and solicitors litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, to falsely accuse me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel on the unfounded, aka false, basis that I'd allegedly made unfounded and vicious allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers being pedophiles and rapists, when in fact I had told the truth based on publicly available newspaper reports. So nothing remotely unfounded about my allegations about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists. On the contrary, they are solidly supported by documentary evidence, including court records. I'm not saying I have access to court records, but I think the newspaper reports are more than credible. So that's it. It's 20 past 11. It's Victoria Day. It's the 18th of May in Ottawa, and I decided to protest on Parliament Hill near the Peace Flame because Unitarian Universalists had me expelled from the campus of Algonquin College, where they're holding their annual meeting in Canada. So as a result of that expulsion, I thought, well, you know, I'll come somewhere where my picket signs will be more visible. You know, literally hundreds, of people will see these picket signs. A fair number have been taking photos and video. And this is also a traditional place for one-man protests, such as this guy here, who's protesting against the confiscation of houses and properties in China. So this area in front of the Parliament in Canada is a ideal spot for protesting issues. And I think the fact that the Unitarian Universal Association is actually misusing, Canadian blasphemy law to hide pedophilia and rape makes this an especially good location to protest, since it is the Canadian Parliament that created Canada's blasphemy law and has yet to reform it or repeal it. So that's another issue. The misuse of blasphemy law really calls into question the legitimacy of the law these days. It's questionable if it's even constitutional. I could, if I wanted to, call for the repeal or reform of Canada's blasphemy law as a result of this attempted misuse of blasphemy law. On that note, I think we'll wrap up this recording. Well, I was going to wrap it up, but I was getting some looks at the picket signs. I thought somebody might ask a question. We'll keep it going a little bit longer. It's getting cloudy and a little humid. So yeah, we're going to shut down the camera now a bit.